What's going on, everybody? This is Rip X from the world of Rip X, and I am reviewing the runes of Malzerk from VenjHammett. So the map shows you here where to go. Just go to Kangazel or whatever it's called and look for the pickaxe icons, because that's how I found it. I ended up going like down a hill, some snowy hills to get it. It might be snowy, it might be the season thing, so yours might not be snowy, I don't know. But look for the pick icon, and when you find it, you'll find the mine. And I thought it would be really interesting today because my wife was doing a Zoom training last night, not just a meeting, but she was conducting a training. So I really couldn't use the online, so I couldn't stream, and I really couldn't be loud because she was doing the actual training for the people. So I had to kind of play through it. I tried not to rush it, and then I did this voiceover over it so you would have something to listen to. I will say that I've been wanting Benj to do Dwemer stuff forever. He loves the Nordic stuff, and he's great at the Nordic stuff, but I'm always like, let's do something new. Let's do something new. You know, let's being him, of course, because it's him. And he did one a while back, and I really liked it. And then he did this one, and I really like it too. He's probably my favorite dungeon modder. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have like 20 dungeon modder favorites. So, but everybody that has mods has their own favorites. Whether it be follower mod, your favorite follower mod guy, your favorite dungeon guy, or whatnot. So I do a really quick review of this, and then I figure I talk a little bit about me and VenjHammett and how we met and how the Gemstone Prophecy series evolved much because of him and his help. And everybody else helped, but this video is about this. So the actual dungeon looks great. I mean, they've always said, you've seen people that make dungeons that look like crap. And people have never said that about VenjHammett's dungeons. In fact, one of the biggest compliments I've heard many times is they either look easily as good or better than Skyrim dungeons. And that's not a really big feat. I mean, it's not a really easy feat because Benj, his whole time modding, and he is a strict person to this. He uses vanilla assets. A lot of guys like me like to use mod assets. They, new textures, or I want to use this island that guy created and he's not using it. But Benj has always been vanilla assets. But still, it's a great dungeon. Man, I'll tell you what, he's really good at dungeon design and layout. Like, there's a lot of things like the multiple levers. There's things like a lever here that will open a door way down the dungeon, There's things like the plates. You've seen them, the wolf, the eagle, the bear, those plates. And you'll see a door, and you can't open it, have like a bear, and then like way down in the dungeon you'll find a lever, and the lever will have a picture of the bear, and you'll be like, oh crap, that's that door. He put some really beautiful things in it. There's a really beautiful waterfall in this Dwemer dungeon. I will say that he gets dungeon modding. He really does. Now, I do a lot of book stuff because I can't do quest markers. Well, Benj can't do quest markers also, and both of us have tried many, many times to do quests. And I'm telling you, it's not as easy as it looks. Even with those videos that are out, the videos that are like 10 years old, can somebody please do a quest video, how to make quests and quest markers easy, like today? Today, could you do it? Could somebody do it, please? That would be great. So, I really, really like this dungeon. It's got a ton of Dwemer enemies in it. It's got just like VenjHammett, it's got a ton of loot. I've always said, if you go into a VenjHammett dungeon, you can go in poor and you'll come out rich. And that's exactly how it is, and that's how people like it. Now, I've seen people burn through these dungeons too. So if you don't look, there is so much stuff you can miss. And years ago, on the old channel, before it got deleted during the Great War, I did a video where I think I went into one of his dungeons with nothing. And I spent a lot of time going through all that dungeon. And then when I was done, I sold everything. And it was just so much money. I mean, man, you just don't understand. If you're like, man, I need a legit way to make some serious money and I don't want to use a mod or a console command, just get one of his dungeons. But anyway, so the mine goes, and the mine leads into the depths, and you go through those dungeons, and it's just a really awesome dungeon. If you like dungeons, just get it. I mean, I can talk about this and talk about this and talk about this. Look, lots of enemies, great design, lots of loot, and it's really, really cool. And there's I'll just say there's a connection. At the beginning you get a letter, and at the very end of the mod you see the connection to the letter, and it's a really, really cool. I like that, you know. Like I said, us guys that can't make quests and quest markers and know how that works in Creation Kit, we have our ways of putting the story out there. And so it's great. So that's the runes of, I think it's Mharzurk. I think it's Mharzurk. It's for LE and special edition. So there's no reason for you not to get this. So now that that's done, I want to go ahead and talk about, because I probably have a whole lot more time playing in this dungeon, how I first met VenjHammett. So when I first started out in September of 2016, I put out my very first mod, which was Relance the Shire. And I don't even know, I think that was right about when I got into YouTube. I saw a couple MXR videos. I was really blessed enough to have him actually mention me and show a clip of my channel in 2 of his videos. I made a million mods. He's never showed one of my mods, but he showed me, which, okay, that's great. So anyway, so then I started doing that. So I started doing follower mod reviews, and I also did a little session where I used like a Lara Croft follower. You know, I think Nightingbird had one, and I called it Lara Croft Tamriel Raider, because, you know, that's smooth. And I started investigating these dungeons. And I came across his dungeon, the Vasik's Tomb, or the Tomb of Vasik, or whatever you call it. And it was just an amazing, it was one of my first non-Skyrim dungeons, you know, one of my first modders dungeons. And it was really, really incredible. Man, I just really enjoyed it. And I said, man, you know what? I like to take my followers through this dungeon. So I did. And I took the followers to the dungeon, and I started doing the follower videos like that. I would get 4 or 5 followers at that time, and I would take them through Vasik's Tomb. Now, it was cool, but at the same time, there was a certain type of enemy. I don't think it was ghosts. I think it was Draugrs. He really liked Draugrs in the beginning. So I went ahead and played that a bunch of times, and that went well. And then one day, like 4 or 5 dungeons of his down the road, because I'd do a review on each one, and I liked him, so I'd endorse him, and I'd say good things about him, and I'd do the video about him. So he was really cool about that, and he was like, hey, thanks for doing that. And we started talking back and forth, and he was really, really appreciative of the stuff. Now, of course, I don't really have to do those videos for him now, because he goes hot mods no matter what he puts out now, but that's okay. So I messaged him one day, and I said, hey, I don't know if you know me. I'm RipX. I'm the guy who does these videos. I've done a bunch of videos for you. What I really like is just a really small dungeon that I could really showcase my followers. And I'd really like a dungeon which had different kind of things in it. Because, you know, each dungeon usually has a theme. and either draugrs or ghosts or vampires or bandits. It's usually a theme. But I was like, you know what? I like different. I want my followers to see. I want my subscribers to see the followers and how they fight against different types of enemies. So you can decide better if you want them. Because if you see a follower fight 8 different types of enemies, you make a much better decision of, oh, I want that follower or I don't want that follower. Right? So I said, hey, do you think you have something to spare, or maybe you would be able to do something small? Just, like a couple of... I just said 4 rooms. And basically, they could just be 4 square rooms, just with a different type of enemy in each, so that way they can see it. And he was like, I'll do better than that. I'll just make you a dungeon. So he made a dungeon, and he called it Steep Chill Mine. And it was really cool because the original Steep Chill Mine was a lot shorter than what I have. I actually have the second version of Steep Chill Mine where he added some stuff. And if you go on his dungeon packs, the Steep Chill Mine that exists today is a totally different one. It is totally different. Not any way near the same mine. So this one's actually called Gut Sword. The original Steep Chill Mine, I think, is called Gut Sword Mine now, which is actually the first dungeon that you challenge in the 8 dungeon challenge on the island of Bellari, which is an upcoming mod, which is full of all the original uncut dungeons that Venj made for me over the course of the Gemstone Prophecy series. But so he said, yeah, I could do that. And it was really cool because you go in there and you have bandits, you have necromancers, you have draugrs, you might even have some ghosts, I'm not sure, and you have vampires. Did I say that? It's just crazy. You just have a lot of really, really cool stuff in it. And then, of course, at the end, you have an actual boss to fight. So it was really, really good. So fast forward a little bit. So that was awesome. That went pretty well. So fast forward a little bit. And I said, hey, about when he got up to 12 dungeons, I said, hey, I want to do a shortcut thing. Because, these are all over Skyrim. And I'd like to review these and do my follower reviews and go to these dungeons and do stuff without having to travel all over Skyrim. So my first idea was to make a cheat mod, sort of a cheat mod, and it was going to be called something like the 12 dungeons or 8 dungeons. I'm not sure if it was 8 or 12 when I decided to do it. The number of dungeons he had, I think it was only 8. I said, hey, I'm just going to make this thing. It's going to be a room, it's going to have 8 doors, and it's going to hook to the insides of all the dungeons. So if you want the VenjHammett dungeons, all you got to do is go to this room and you got access to all of them. So that was cool. And I was going to release that. And then I said, you know what? Down the road, I said, maybe it would be cool to have an extra room in the room I made that you can unlock maybe when you get all those. And that way, when you beat all those, you get loot. So it's not just... it's just a cheat to get into places. You'll actually get something from this mod. So I said, well, that might help the mod at all. So then what I had 8 portals to VenjHammett dungeons, with the room, treasure room at the end. And then I said, well, the treasure room's cool, but maybe it would be a good idea to have a little, like a boss character that you could fight at the end, like a major boss. You fight all these bosses and then a big boss, and then you get the treasure. And that was good. So by this time, Bench had been adding dungeons, so he was way past 12 now. And I was like, look, I cannot do, excuse me, a room with, 12, 15 doors, whatever. I was like, this is getting really, really crazy now. And I was like, you're going to need followers to go with you. And then I had remembered my Relance follower, and I also had worked, I think at that time, with Amethyst, making Amethyst and Ruby maybe. I don't know if Emerald had been made. I know by the time Emerald was made, the gemstone idea was in swing. So it wouldn't be that yet. So I think I had Amethyst and Ruby out, or Amethyst and Emerald out. Because I think actually, no, Emerald came out third. Okay, I think. So anyway, so I say, well, hey, maybe I can tie these girls together somehow. So I had made Relance Shirey. I decided to go ahead and make Ruby and Amethyst sisters, and decided to make them Shirey too. So I started. It was just starting to create this gemstone universe. And then by that time, it had been taking a full thing, because then it was, why are you stopping? Because then it was like, well, I could go, then you could pick up some followers, and then you could go to this room, and then you could beat all these dungeons, and then you could do this, and win. And I was like, man, that's an awesome idea. So I did forever. I couldn't do 18,000 years. I mean, you can't play a dungeon that's going to last you 18,000 years. I mean, everybody wants that. Everybody wants the RPG that has a super long playtime, but they really don't. So I picked my 4 favorite dungeons and asked Bench about it. He said it was okay. So I said, we'll use these 4 dungeons of yours. And I guess the point, I don't know if I did it right or not, but the point was we were going to use his as a ESM, and then mine was going to be ESP. So that way, if you had his dungeon mod, then you just put mine on top, and it would turn it into the mod. You know, what I didn't realize, and Bench loves doing this. He loves updating his mods. He loves adding stuff to his mods. So I spent so much time on the Gemstone Prophecy. By the time I finished Gemstone Prophecy, the dungeons that they were based on were changed. They were just changed, and that's my fault. And he would always say, hey, I'm updating my dungeons, and I would just be like, cool. And then we we actually launched the mod, and people, you know, like within an hour at least, probably way quicker than an hour, people were saying, hey, this mod's messed up. Hey, I'm crashing the desktop. Hey, why isn't this working? And we're in serious damage control. And then I realized that some of the doors weren't where they were supposed to be, because he had added tunnels and this, and the starting point of the dungeon on certain dungeons weren't the starting point anymore. And it messed up. Well, Bench actually felt so bad about it, even though it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. He felt so bad, he created 4 brand new dungeons just for the Gemstone Prophecy. I mean, he created like an intro cave, a new world space, 4 brand new dungeons, and then 2 temple cells that were the final battle. Of course, you know, I had to go in, add my girls, add all my books, add my colored pillars, my glowy things, but that was him. And you know, that was just after that, I was like, bro, you're fucking super cool. And it's been really cool, because I've had modders also like Asher's do big favors like that for me too. Excuse me. In fact, the first Gemstone Prophecy, the one that messed up, Asher's actually spent a lot of time working on it. So I felt really bad when I had to trash it all. But he's been really supportive too. It's really cool when good modders support not good modders. So, but that went out. And from then on, me and Bench have been friends. He lives way on the other side of the country. But I talk to him several times a week. We talk about his new upcoming projects. We talk about maybe doing things together. We talk about other ideas. We talk about a lot of stuff. So he's really a cool guy, not just a cool modder. So I guess I'm probably going to wrap it up here. I don't know really how much time is left in the mod here, so you can just watch me finish and play it, and when it kind of ends, it ends. But I hope you enjoy this mod as much as I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Remember, no matter what you do, just I didn't even end it right. So until I see you guys next time, this is the Runes of Mharzurk by VenjHammett. Get it now. And until I see you next time, this is Rip X from the world of Rip X, reminding you that I still make mod videos. Surprise. And even more importantly, no matter what you do, make sure you rip